Hey, it's Deborah here with a review of Demonza's book cover design service. There's a few commandments in self-publishing, and two of them relate to book covers. Your blurb and your cover matter as much as your book, and you should not design your own book cover. I'm not Jenny Wirtz, and I can't afford Michael Wayland or Belikov and David Mann, but I wanted my debut epic fantasy novel to look like it belonged in amongst all of these best-selling and critically acclaimed novels. So I did the next best thing. I hired Demonza. If you're watching this video, then you don't need me to talk up Demonza's credentials. They have been designing book covers for over a decade, and you could spend days scrolling through their portfolio. When I saw that they offered pre-made covers, I jumped right in. Now, if I were an intelligent and forward-thinking author, I would have done this before I wrote the book. Alas, I was not. I did not start looking around for a cover until I had almost finished the first draft of my manuscript, and by then it was too late. I'd gone and set the story in a port city, and my protagonist fights with a spear instead of dual-wielding daggers. Those kind of alterations went beyond the scope of acceptable minor changes. Luckily, the team had a solution for that. I would have one-click purchased that, but my lack of foresight came back to bite me once again because I had not done my homework and therefore I could not fill out most of this form. In my defense, I had not read David Gaughran's book at that time, and so I did not have my pen name, series name, or blurb ready. The only thing I did have was my title and a list of comps based on my market research. Not that one, this one. 5 frantic hours later, I submitted the world's worst blurb attempt, along with links to the covers for 3 comparable titles. I don't think I did that right. I probably should have been looking at the Amazon Kindle store, at the top 100 list or new releases, and looking at the kind of covers that were trending for epic fantasy, but epic fantasy as a category on the Amazon Kindle store is kind of this messed up catch-all category where everything just goes in it. So I stand by my decision to provide comp covers based on the list of, actual comparable titles based on what kind of book it is, and leaving the cover trends to the professional cover designer that I had hired, especially considering I was using a pre-made cover as my starting point. I gave them a pen name and a series name that my writing group spent a couple of minutes hammering out in our Discord with me, and these hilariously vague instructions about what to change in the pre-made cover. This looked like a photo manipulator cover, so I was really worried that they wouldn't be able to change the weapons from daggers to a spear in a way that looked natural, but I hadn't seen any other covers that I liked, so from here, the order form was about selecting extras and add-ons. At the time of filming, the Demonza pre-made cover price is $145 which is an absolute bargain considering the quality of their covers. There are much cheaper options out there, but to my eyes, the Demonza covers win hands down. I've already spent 7 months of my life on this book. I'm not going to quibble over $100 when the difference in quality is this apparent. Since I didn't have the foresight to buy the cover first and then write the blurb and the book around it, I had to use the pre-made cover as a design concept in one of their packages. Special shout out here to Robin, who took the time to double check that I really did mean to order the budget ebook design package, because that only allows for one design concept. It was a nice bit of attention to detail and proactive communication that I really appreciated. That took my cost up to $395. Since Robin confirmed that I could add on the extras at any point in time, I skipped past all of this and just paid the 50% deposit upfront. From there, it's a 14-day turnaround, so I basically forgot about my cover and focused on racing my beta readers through my book to see if I could clear all my XXX placeholders before they could catch up in their reading. The first revision of the cover came back while I was halfway through my world building pass, 9 days after I had ordered. It literally left me speechless. I was really worried about my request to swap out the daggers for a spear. I kind of expected that they would have a hard time finding a suitable image and therefore the character to kind of look very unnatural with the new weapons, but this must have been an existing character model that they already had, and so it looked amazing. I honestly could have just stopped here and called it a day, but my beta read was still going. I hadn't done all of my structural revisions and publication was at least a few months away, and so I didn't want to finalize it just yet. One of the upsides of working with Demonza is that they are a full service cover design studio, which means they have a whole team and loads of other clients. So there was no pressure on me to finalize it ASAP. They were quite happy for me to sit on it for another 90 days while 2 rounds of beta reads finished and I'd revised my blurb 4 times. I'd gotten so unnerved by my inability to critique their work that I went and read some Derek Murphy to try and understand what makes a good book cover. The section on 7 brilliant design strategies had this tip about using strap lines to convey additional information, and I needed all the help that I could get. Turns out that little bit of text adds a lot. Without it, the cover is beautiful, but it looks just kind of like any generic action-adventure epic fantasy novel. Add the extra text, and even though you can't see it in the thumbnail, when you look at it at the actual size, it conveys a much stronger sense of the kind of story that you're going to get. While I personally find the longer tagline more intriguing, I ended up going with the shorter tagline because it was less visually crowded. With the front cover finalized, I debated whether or not I would get the full paperback cover designed as well. I contemplated cheaping out and just ordering, say, the poster-sized add-on for $30 to make absolutely sure that I had the minimum required print resolution, and then just doing the print cover myself with a plain black spine and back cover. In the spirit of experimentation, I decided to order the full paperback cover design, which was an extra $150. This is what Demonza sent back. I do not regret spending that money at all because these are the files that Demonza gives you. I'm going to take you on a quick appreciation tour of the layered PSD files just so you can see how much effort they put into designing this cover. I don't have Photoshop, so I'm using Photopea, which is a free cloud-based alternative. And look at how many layers there are in this file. Like, it is just insane. Just finding the right stock photos is a lot of work, let alone everything else in here. When you've got the layered PSD files, you suddenly have a lot of flexibility. Not gonna lie, the first thing I did once I got these files was spend an hour messing around with them and doing completely useless things like creating desktop wallpapers with the cover art and pretty featured article cover banners for my website. And in the event that I have to update my blurb for the 13th time, I can do that easily as well. I can also make any slight adjustments that I need to for individual printer specifications. This time round, I did pay the extra $50 for the Ingram Spark paperback cover file just to see whether or not a pro was going to do it any differently to how I would have done it in Scribus. The answer is not differently enough for me to be able to tell, so next time I am probably going to do the Ingram Spark version myself. I will likely buy the Ingram Spark hardcover extra at some point though, because I'm probably going to go with a version with dust jackets, which Amazon KDP hardcovers do not offer. Though I might also splurge for my birthday and work with a local printer to do something insanely nice, like get some foiled hardcovers. There are 2 things to bear in mind. By default, Demonza uses a standard license for stock photos from Shutterstock. If you're planning on doing any merchandising like mouse pads, coffee cups, t-shirts, things like that, you're probably going to need to buy an enhanced license for every single stock photo that has been used in designing your cover, which could be a lot. Second is, under Demonza's terms and conditions, you are not allowed to alter the cover design in any way. It reads like a very draconian clause, but it's actually pretty reasonable from a risk management perspective. It's just really there to make sure that every single cover out there that is associated with the Demonza brand is a cover that they actually signed off on. If you have any doubts about whether what you want to do is within the terms and conditions, just err on the side of caution and drop them a note. They are very responsive because I sent them like a 500-word email with a very long list of possible use cases, and Damon himself replied overnight with a very thorough and helpful email response. Overall, the team at Demonza have been fantastic in all regards, from the quality of the work to the smoothness of the process to their reliability, their responsiveness, and their timeliness. The longest I ever had to wait was for that very first draft, which had a lot of changes that I wanted to make to the pre-made cover. Every single change after that was turned around in 1 business day, and I often got responses within minutes. And in particular, I got the final files for my cover within minutes of me paying the final balance on my invoice. The only part of the process where there was a lot more back and forth than I expected was to do with finalizing the blurb for the paperback. Specifically, there were 3 things that I want to change. Number 1 was that the M dashes on the back had been typed as normal dashes. Number 2 was I wasn't happy with where the line breaks were sitting in the tagline. And number 3 was I wanted very slight small caps in the tagline. It took 3 goes before we got there, which added 3 business days to the overall process. And that kind of stressed me out because I was running right up against my personal goal of publishing the book before the end of May. But in fairness, the only reason we were even cutting it this close was because I had taken so bloody long to fix my blurb. Overall, it's a pretty minor complaint. I would rate my experience with Demonza 5 out of 5, and I recommend them without reservation. In fact, it's really hard for me right now to not get distracted by thoughts of getting the cover done for book 2 and actually focus on writing the thing. If you're planning to use Demonza for your next book cover, then you can get 10% off by using my coupon code PAPERTIGER at checkout. I'll put the details in the description below. I think we'll all agree that they did an absolutely amazing job on this cover. I'll also be doing a review of Vellum, the book formatting software, in due course, so when that's ready, I'm going to put it up here for you. But in the meantime, here is a different awesome video for you to watch next.